What happens when two teachers sit together over a text and try to make meaning of that text?
So the Beit Midrash Research Project started as part of a class in the Dalet program. I collected video of people studying in havruta in student pairs while they were studying texts, and used that video to analyze how do people make meaning of texts and how do they work together in havruta, and are there any patterns that we can identify that we can then use to teach people how to do this better.
Orit and her colleague Ellie Holzer have worked hard to identify some of those core sensibilities and core practices that it takes to make this kind of learning productive, powerful, transformative. This was one of the first empirical studies of havruta learning, and it's very much connected to the central mission of the center and our interest in understanding and strengthening the quality of teaching and learning.
There are 6 havruta practices that I identified in my research, and the degree to which people engage in those and the balance that they strike between those affects where their conversation goes and how deeply they engage in the text.
Because, well, here's what that question says to me is the Torah an abstraction? Is it this collection of ideas?
I began to figure out ways to more intentionally teach people how to engage in these practices.
I met Orit at a conference bridging the gap between pedagogy and scholarship that was organised by the Mandel Center. I went to her presentation on her research into havruta learning, and immediately I thought this is a perfect match for Kesher. It was clear that there was some very exciting work to be done, and we both felt that Kesher would be a good place to do it.
So we decided that we were going to take this theory of havruta learning and curricularize it for his staff and do a number of sessions with them, and then work more intentionally with a few teachers in their classroom to help them translate the concepts that we were teaching into actual classroom practice.
So the idea was that we would use this as a springboard both for the teachers' professional development in terms of what they were doing in their own classrooms, and also to line up a couple of projects in which certain teachers would get to work in more depth, designing a short course of study that would really focus on collaborative text learning.
We worked specifically with 2 teachers, and it's in their classrooms that they were really able to take the work to another level, because we sat with them and we planned with them, and they came up with the ideas, but we helped and acted as their guide and coach in honing those ideas.
In Danya's class, the kids were studying the story of Jacob and Esau and the birthright, and she took them through this process that at times was a little bit excruciating. They needed to be just really familiar with that text, so they spent a lot of time just working through the narrative. But the idea was for them to really know the text well enough that they could return to it when it came to the more interpretive, playful work that they were doing.
One teacher talks about something called interpretive space. I don't want my kids just to read this text and parrot back to me what it says. I want them to be heartfelt about what it says and to have their own ideas about it and to do interpretive work and to really feel connected to this text. And that's what I'm passionate about as a teacher, she said. And now, through learning some of these tools of havruta, I'm beginning to realize how I can help create a space for that to happen in my classroom. And that's what we helped her do.
Our aspiration is to change how people think about their work and how they carry it out.
What is the process from just learning about a concept to actually then teaching in a classroom? What kind of support do we need to give people in that in-between space to make the professional development actually meaningful in their classroom?
We're really shaping some new conversations in the field of Jewish education. The research that we've done on havruta learning is beginning to provide a new vocabulary for talking about something that has been part of Jewish study and Jewish tradition.
If we really care about the kind of teaching that's going on and the kind of education that our children are receiving, then we need to be taking what we're learning and bringing it into practice.
Ideas can make a difference in how people think about their work and what they do that can really have an impact on the quality of teaching and learning and transform the practice of Jewish education at its heart, at its core.